I've always lived through the concept of the 4 pillars of life.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to keep those 4 pillars in your life balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't balance them, you start falling one way or another. And I've found with my own family, I started putting too much into my business and wasn't really paying attention to the family. And emotionally, that starts draining on you from that standpoint if you're not taking care of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mental standpoint, you just got to be really buttoned and ready to go at all times. And mentally, if you're not in the game, and I call it the game of life, if you're not in the game of life and you don't have connections and you're not emotionally bound to those and mentally in the game, that's a big drop off in your life of the feelings you have and what it does to your soul and body.
Live ready, reach higher, chase the sky, beyond thinking, grow rich, you'll learn to fly.
Welcome to Live Ready Podcast, Beyond Thinking, Grow Rich, with your host, David R. Ibarra. Today, I have a special guest, Ed Bailey. Welcome to our program, Ed.
Thank you.
Now,
appreciate being asked.
We're going to talk about a host of things, but I want to kind of talk about these in 4 quarters, if you will. Tell me about the early years of your life, Ed. Where were you born? Tell me about your upbringing. The first 20.
First 20, okay. That's wide open subject right there.
That is.
I was born in Afton, Wyoming, moved to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and was raised in Jackson. My dad was a high school teacher in Afton, Wyoming. And the interesting thing is he went up in the summers and he worked for a Maverick gas station. It was brand new back then. And it's from Wyoming. It's that Maverick gas station. So he went up there and he worked a Memorial to Labor Day. And what he would do is he would go inside that gas station and he would live 24 hours a day for those 3 months. And it was incredible the work ethic he had.
Now, was the Mavericks, did they already have that adventure theme?
No.
So it was just a gas station like 7-Eleven or any of the gas. That came later.
That came later.
Okay.
And so it was just a Maverick gas station. It started in Afton, Wyoming, and then they ventured up to Jackson, and that's their first expansion was Jackson.
Wow.
So my dad, he went up there and he ran the gas station in the summer for them. And Jackson is only Labor Day, Memorial Day to Labor Day, and then the ski season.
Right.
It's only 2 seasons it's got.
Yeah.
And so he was up there in the summer, and he worked so hard that the banker there at Jackson State Bank noticed him. And he would bring in the deposits. He would, do something where he just had a quick time. Somebody would come up and relieve him for literally 30 minutes, run to the bank, run, grab a shower, and go back to the station. That's it. So the banker came into the gas station and started gassing up and talking to my dad. And my dad knew about 450 acres that was north of Jackson that just came up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
We're back in the 60s and early 70s.
Right.
And he talked to the banker and says, what if I went up there and bought that? Would you finance the land, 450 acres? He's a high school teacher.
Right.
No credit of all to be able to buy something of that size.
That's not a small parcel. Either.
No. And the banker came back to him and said, you know what? I'll do it. So my dad went from a gas station to going out and building his own gas station. A first self-service gas station, because Maverick back then was service.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So this is a first self-service gas station. He built a general store and sold fireworks. The first one's coming out of the park,
Yeah.
Teton National and the Yellowstone National Park.
Right.
He was the first business. And he started growing. He built a Texaco gas station, a Gulf gas station, and a drive-in. And that started going bigger and bigger. So then he built a KOA campground and a scenic view chairlift. And right in the middle of this little land, there was a chuck wagon restaurant. And he kept trying to buy it and trying to buy it. Finally, he got him to sell to him. My dad picked it up. Ran the chuck wagon for 1 year, said, this is a pain in the butt. I don't want a chuck wagon restaurant.
Right.
So he turned around, wiped it out, put a great big indoor swimming pool right there.
Mm-hmm.
And on the backside was our house.
Mm.
So he went from a single self-service, 2 gas stations, a general store, and then KOA campground with a big general store and a scenic view chairlift with an indoor swimming pool right there.
Wow. So at what point, Ed, did your dad say, come on over here. I'm going to show you something, son, and put you to work?
When we could reach up to a cash register
Uh-huh.
on a stool to check people out,
Right.
that's when we started. My dad put us to work, and we were all 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. There's 6 kids. All 6 kids worked.
Wow.
Every single summer we worked.
So you came from an entrepreneurial background for sure.
Yes.
So what is it that you go through school, you have your dad's example, what did you end up, because I'm wanting to go somewhere that it ought to interest everyone, and that is, how do you build capital? But we're working our way to
Right.
your career. How did you decide when did you decide what you wanted to do in the third quarter of your life and second quarter of your life as a career? What preparation, high school and college, and when did the thought come that you knew what you wanted to do?
Well, my dad was driving it into us constantly. What do you want to do in your life? Then you got to go and set that parameter and grow that thought into what you want, and then pursue it and do it. That was always his. Pursue it and do it. It was always there. And the interesting thing is, it's the first time I ever actually read Think and Grow Rich.
I knew it.
My dad. My
I knew
dad
it.
was a
Yeah.
big time dreamer, but then his thoughts, he would sit there and think and think and think. And then he had such a burning desire. His big goals, and he always called them his goals in life, was he wanted to own his own business
Right.
and provide for his family. And he just hit it out of the park.
Did your dad ever read Dr. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich?
He's the one who gave it to me.
I knew it. You could just tell by the cadence of the words that the belief system. And Dr. Hill and Think and Grow Rich created more successful men and women in the world than any document or any book that has ever been written. Over 100 million copies have been
It's
sold.
incredible.
Unbelievable. And still being sold to this very day.
Yeah, and here's my dad as a high school history teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Read that, knew the burning desire he had,
Mm-hmm.
and he went for it. He just flat went for it. And he just built and built and built and knew what he wanted. And he had this dream in his mind and had a burning desire to pursue it, and he did it.
And so your dad tells you, figure out your purpose.
Yep.
And then obviously, what talents are you going to need to achieve it? So that led you to some education decisions. What were those decisions?
Well, he obviously, he was a big pusher for education. And you got to go to college and get that degree.
Mm-hmm.
And so I pursued that, got the degree out of University of Utah.
Great.
But the big thing I kept seeing and what I liked was the finance side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to build a store and work in the store. I wanted to work in the finance side where I get to work with other people's money
Right.
and invest it and participate in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what I started pursuing is in college was business management and then finance.
Mm-hmm.
And from finance, as soon as I graduated, I went out to New York and met some great individuals with contacts. Then I came back to Salt Lake, and there was a gentleman that came out from New York that I met that it was incredible, and we just stayed in contact. Well, he went back to New York, and he ended up running a little company called MSD Capital,
Mm-hmm.
which just happens to be Michael Dell's personal money.
Yeah.
It's his family office.
Right.
And so his family office, he started growing that, and he and I started doing transactions together. But he always wanted to do the New York and something on the coastlines.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona, Colorado, there's great opportunities here. And so we started doing some opportunities
So
here.
you became a financial investment advisor, or how it is that you create wealth?
Yeah, you do it. We did it through a hedge fund.
Okay.
So we would get money in,
So
investors.
your
would,
title, your expertise, your accreditation was?
I was the founder and managing partner of Vision Capital Partners,
Okay.
and we've been in business for about 28 years,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I just sold. Just
So
sold after
you
28
created
years.
a lot of security
Yeah.
for individuals and wealth for a certain percent of those individuals. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, it's a fair statement. I think the one thing we did is we looked at so many different transactions, and we saw people who had a burning desire to do X business, and that's always what we looked at is, do they really have the burning desire to do it, or they just wish they could do it?
Mm-hmm.
And they come in to us to talk to us and present their business. You can always tell. We start looking, first things is how are they dressed, how they look, how they really present themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I'd look at their shoes.
Yeah.
Do they have nice, clean, shine shoes? Would they have nice clothes that they're coming in, or are they coming in a hoodie, and Levi's? I want to talk to us about starting, this phenomenal business.
Well, there are those today that believe to be a billionaire means that you're supposed to wear a T-shirt and jeans, as was Steve Jobs. And so he gave that whole kind of a look and feel. And I guess I'm old school because I still want to be ready to work.
Yeah.
Tell me about your hedge fund. So basically, if I'm hearing you correctly, you had a professional Shark Tank kind of a program where people would come in and tell you about their great idea or how much they invested so far. Did they have proof of concept? And then you and your capital investment firm would decide to partner up or lend money.
We would be both debt and equity. So in other words, we were either giving a loan to them, or we were investing in them.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we like that capital stack of both. So we would give a loan, so we'd start earning interest on the transaction, and we'd put capital into it that we would be invested into it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we did just loans. And if we had, collateral that was strong enough, we would do just a loan and be comfortable with it.
So how much money have you managed over those 28 years? Have you ever counted it up?
Well, we've managed about $750 million at any given time, assets under management, but that's at a given time.
Mm-hmm.
So, over the years, the transaction we've done is, a couple $1 billion in actual transactions.
Right. So would you be considered to be a mid-tier capital investment group, a smaller cap, or larger? I'm not sure how that works.
Well, the interesting thing is we were here in Utah. We had an office in Salt Lake City and Phoenix, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were small ourselves, but we always teamed up with MST Capital.
Mm-hmm.
So with MST Capital, we were the big dog because Michael Dell started off with putting $400 million in, which is small, and then grew it to $1 billion, then $2 billion, $5 billion, $10 billion. Now it's $50 billion in size.
Well, there was a time period, it was interesting that in my history that you didn't think, you just went to Dell and you got all your computer systems. I mean, everything came from Dell. I'm not even, I can't remember the last time I even seen their website. Are they still in business today?
Bigger than ever.
Really?
Bigger than ever. They're exploding. They're going into the capital markets, larger enterprises size systems. They got their own cloud, and working in the cloud now and storage. And I mean, they've just absolutely exploded.
So we're going to get into, I want to get into a lot more about, because it's fascinating that Dr. Hill, as you know, he talks about a mastermind alliance. I've recoined that in my book I wrote, Live Ready, Beyond Think and Grow Rich, where we modernized. I was given the challenge to modernize Dr. Hill's work in everyday language that could be understood. 1937 English is different. For instance, I was talking to somebody just yesterday, and they asked me about the word ether. What did it mean? He was referring to ether, that things would travel in its air, and he used different terms. But for a moment, we're going to have a word from our sponsors. I want you to take a look at the video that we're going to present by Yes, Our Kids Can, and it's labeled Live Ready Kids. Yes, Our Kids Can. Take a look now.
At what age do you wish you had unlocked the principles that lead to success? Where do you think you'd be today if you had learned them as a child? Yes, Our Kids Can is a program developed at Harvard and tested in San Antonio's school systems, designed to give children of all backgrounds the opportunity to plant the seeds for future success, using learning techniques they understand and enjoy. Through engaging animated stories, fun sing-along songs, and interactive games, Yes, Our Kids Can teaches your child the empowering, success-driven principles needed to reach their full potential. Don't miss this opportunity to give your children the future they deserve. Yes, Our Kids Can is available now on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Sign up today and help make your child's dreams a reality.
Now, looking at that video and looking at the opportunity, I could just imagine when I got involved with this company, what would Dr. Hill say, Napoleon Hill, with Think and Grow Rich, if we could begin to train those principles with our children at their earliest thought. So go to ourkidscan.com, and for just $20-some, you can get a year a subscription and get the 11 episodes Story Time with Senior Lionel, and he covers every one of the principles with a sing-along song. So let's continue, Ed. Now tell me, you get into this creating independence by having enough money to not carry the burden of worry and fear. What kinds of things did you see in the individuals that you worked with from beginning to end? Do you have any great stories you can share with us? Because not only is it a accumulation of capital, there's got to be some peace and comfort from that people experience as well.
Yeah, we would see numerous times where people would come in here and present to us their business. We would either finance or not finance, but down the road they'd come back and want to expand. And you see a difference in that person, a lot of difference in them, just to where they're becoming successful. And you can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their posture, that they've had some success and they feel confident about themselves. And we've had others where we've invested in and their business is going under. We've had to foreclose on a few, and you see the drooping of the shoulders, and they're just looking down, and they don't want to really look at you in the eye. And, you just see that when they're not successful, when they're having difficulties, how are they handling it? Because everybody has setbacks, and you get knocked down, or you getting back up and just plowing forward, or are you staying down?
Well, one of the number one reasons for divorce in America has to do with financial issues that occur. People don't make what they think they could and should, can't provide. It puts you in a negative state of mind that can affect all the roles of your life: family, faith, community, health, and certainly not just wealth.
Sure. I mean, you see it, and it's funny, the ones who are losing their business have their marriage problems.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost goes hand in hand every single time.
Every time.
It's amazing.
You begin to see, or at least I have in my consulting business, and over the last 45 years, when somebody's in trouble, you see them begin to spending therapy. They're in the vulnerable stage and are spending wildly.
Yes.
Spending therapy never works.
Doesn't work. And,
So-
and that's interesting you say that. I've seen that so many times.
Well, Dr.
interesting.
Hill talks about, proper utilization of time and money. If you lose your purpose and you're in a negative state of mind and the action becomes boredom, what do? You waste time and you waste money. And that is the first step to losing your way and perhaps in some cases not being able to rebound because you can lose it all. But you got in the financial sector, you enjoyed it, but you decided to shift and do something else, and you're pretty young. What made you decide, I don't want to do this anymore, I want to do something else? Tell me about that.
Well, I had somebody come by and offer more money than I could turn down.
Boy, don't you hate that when that happens?
I hated that.
I hate that guy's guts.
So we were selling these assets that we had in the firm, and and these are equity assets we had, so we
Sure.
owned them.
Yeah.
And we were just selling them, and it's like, these things are, we're selling like crazy, and we're getting tremendous money for them, value for this. And so, I'm getting happier and happier and happier, and it was great. I had a 28-year run with just my own firm, running that.
Another capital investment group bought your group. How long did you have to stay with them before you actually got the freedom? Did you have to stay with them a couple of years to ensure that your clientele of business, your book of business, stayed with a new capital investment firm?
Well, what's interesting is towards the end, I started putting opportunities that we were doing in equity, and then so we were just equity, so we weren't debt. So we started selling just the equity pieces. Mm-hmm. And so the equity, like we had a great big apartment complex and land down in Phoenix, Arizona, right next to the stadium, the football stadium. Brand new $1.5 billion resort was being built right next to it. And it just flew off the market. It actually, the owner of that $1.5 billion resort came to us and offered us enormous amount of money. And so we couldn't turn that down.
So, and he was going to use the apartment for
his housing.
Yeah, his housing
And
his associates. And
we
things of
had
that
45
nature.
acres all around that house, location. And it was right on the freeway, right next to his $1.5 billion new resort, right next to the football stadium,
Yeah,
the
that's
Cardinals.
great.
And then right next to that was the NHL hockey team that left and came up to Utah, but they still use it for all the concerts. So this big arena is
So somebody came and paid the
Zone
amount of money that you couldn't say no. It kind of reminds me of that movie Heaven Can Wait with Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
He was the quarterback, or he was talking about somebody bought the team, and they walked up and he's up in the stands there, and he's got that look of woe is me. And they say, "What happened? What happened? You lost the team." It was the Rams. Yeah. I said, "What happened?" The son of a gun paid me 10 times more than it was worth. And then the guy next to him says, "That ruthless son of a gun." So you kind of had one of those stories of your own.
Yes.
We won't, hopefully the capital investment company that bought you, or firm, doesn't watch this podcast.
Yeah.
We're definitely not making fun of it.
Yeah, we're not making fun of them at all. I'm
We're
just
having
saying
a
thank
good
you.
So you got this opportunity to give you enough money to do what you want, and you shared with me earlier, and one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on our podcast. So what did you decide to do, Ed?
Well, from that point, I've always lived through the concept of the 4 pillars of life. Mm-hmm. You've got your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. Mm-hmm. And you've got to keep those 4 pillars in your life balanced. Mm-hmm. And if you don't balance them, you start falling one way or another. And I've found with my own family, I started putting too much into my business and wasn't really paying attention to the family. And emotionally, that starts draining on you from that standpoint if you're not taking care of the family. Mm-hmm. And then the mental standpoint, you just got to be really buttoned and ready to go at all times. And mentally, if you're not in the game, and I call it the game of life, if you're not in the game of life and you don't have connections and you're not emotionally bound to those and mentally in the game, that's a big drop off in your life of the feelings you have and what it does to your soul and body. And physically, you've got to stay in shape. I don't care if you're just going out and walking. Just move forward. Move. I've always just stayed at the gym. I love the gym. I'm there 4 days a week, and I just work out. And it keeps me physically fit and keeps my mind in the game of life. I keep coming back to it. And then the spiritual, I think, is the foundation for all of it. Mm-hmm. If you're not grounded, you don't have a higher being or something that you're connected with, whether it's God or whether you're, whatever religion you are or whatever belief you have, spiritually, you've got to be grounded and have a higher being that's driving you and giving you that strong platform in life. So you have a strong platform of spiritual, and then the other three have got to be worked on constantly and I always say with intention. I got that from Napoleon Hill's book. You got to do these things with intention.
Yeah, intentional, no doubt.
And if you're not doing them with attention, I could go, I'm going to the gym. Well, I could go to the gym and walk around, think about it, talk to a few people, and then leave. I went to the gym. What'd I do? You've got to have a plan and do it with intention.
No doubt.
And I'm very, very high on that word, intention.
So, well, and we go to the gym, and you see people with their cell phones, and you see people sitting in between sets, and that's not intentional. They're not present, as Napoleon Hill would talk about, as one of the principles is controlled attention.
Yes.
To be in a time block and to plan that time when you put it in the calendar to protect it and to invest it with what intentions. What did you intend to do? So what's in that time block? And do you want to have full attention while you're there? And if you do, then texting, emails, social media, and other things are also in their time block. So they don't drift in at any time. So that an individual can get hooked on just counting their likes for the day instead of the influences they've had on others during the day. So you've got these 4 pillars, and what are you going to do with them, Ed? How are you going? What's your plan? You're going to obviously start a performance improvement company. I never will call you a life coach because you've had a job. So I won't call you a life coach. There's so many people in this sector that you're in and I'm in, that and I don't want to make fun of them. So that sarcasm that leaks in every now and then is my extroverted personality. But you want to align yourself with somebody that's been successful. And so many people ask me, they say, "Hey, how come I didn't see you on the speaking tour? Why is this?" And I said, "Well, I'm employed. I'm running companies doing what I'm sharing with you. I'm doing it every day with my own companies or for other large companies, 5 to 6 other large companies, and then 61 others, but not with the same focus or time because you only have so much. So how are you going to go about this new business? Tell us, what is it called? What are you doing?
Well, I started a podcast and followed your steps.
Good.
The Art of Living Young. Mm-hmm. So I want to make sure that they understand there is an art to this living young. Mm-hmm. It's not that you retire and you sit on a couch and you start flipping on the channels with your remote. Mm-hmm. That's when you go downhill.
That's true.
Let's go uphill. Let's move forward. Mm-hmm. And so I just started a brand new 13-week course based on Think and Grow Rich and your book. Mm. And it just started today. And so it was kind of interesting. If you go to the Art of Living Young with Ed Bailey, it shows on it. And it's based on your 2 books, the 2 books. The Art
Perfect.
And Live Ready Young is the new mantra of 13-week course to get you started on moving forward, moving ahead on these 4 pillars, but also based on the principles of the art of the
Who
of
is
your
your
book.
main target? Who's your target audience? Is it executives? Is it youth in their first exiting their first quarter, entering their second? Who is it that you're wanting to lean into and offer this kind of guidance and support?
Well, it's really interesting because all of a sudden I'm getting DMs back to me, and they're like 25, 30 years old, 40. I'm like, wow, I didn't think I'd ever attract somebody young. But, you know, this stuff, I wish I would have known when I was 20, 25, and keep learning from it. And so Think and Grow Rich, I had back when I was 18, and my dad gave it to me and said, read this, and start applying and apply the principles of this. Just read it and read it and read it. Don't read it once. Read it once quick, but then go back through it. And, you know, this whole concept, I'm basing this Live Ready Young 13-week course on your book and Think and Grow Rich, because your book is so great because it talks about modern day language and how to move it and do it.
Well, Live Ready Young sounds like a book, Ed. And I'll tell you something, in building your curriculum, I'd make one suggestion. Write that book. And it will help you with the curriculum of the program that you're doing in a way that it'll be frustrating for sure. They always are. But to have that, I've got a couple of gifts I'm going to give to you. Then we're going to keep talking for another little bit. But I got this new book that was just released in the last couple of weeks, and it's called Live Ready. Is my new publishing company that we started, and we're going to publish books, not only from my books, but from the people that we help. We come across a lot of people that have a book in them. And, you know, our stories are powerful, and they ought to be told because it gives people the strength to dare to dream and to act. So this is Creating How Power, 28 Essential Lessons. I've built it differently than my other books because it comes from my column that I write for Agent Entrepreneur Magazine, which I've done for 3 years. And I was writing an article, putting it away with the other articles, and I started looking at those articles. And I said, my heavens, there's a book. So the challenge is to take one lesson, they're not chapters, because these could be read in 5 minutes. In the morning, read a lesson one day for the next 28 days. Before you go to bed, if you can, read that lesson again. But if not, then just to close your eyes and think about the lesson and how was it helpful in that day, one lesson at a time. Because when you go to sleep, your subconscious mind, as you know, as Dr. Hill has taught us, works 24/7. And so you're seeding yourself for success. So my new book, and I had heard that you destroyed my old book by writing and the pages were following out. So we're going to give you an upgraded book.
Very nice.
The hard copy, not the soft copy.
Yeah, my soft copy is beat the heck.
And I want you to have that as well.
Thank you very much.
Now, in the next year or two, I'm going to get a book back. It's called what?
Live Ready Young.
Live Ready Young.
And you'll publish it?
That's right. Live Ready Young. And I'll tell you what, there's so many of us that I'm a disciple of Napoleon Hill's work. You, whether you know it or not, are a disciple of Napoleon Hill's work.
I am.
We're not disciples of Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill was a regular man who was a reporter, and it took him 20 years to write this book, and it's not his opinion. It's his discovery of what he found with 500 of the most successful people on earth. So from that, those individuals, given the task by Andrew Carnegie to, before he left this world, Andrew Carnegie wanted to share with the world what it meant to have a purpose, a proper positive state of mind, backed by burning desire and faith-based actions to get whatever you want. And he was our world's first billionaire. So I look forward to see what you do with your company, and I'm sure it's going to be fun. And there's 350 million people plus in the United States alone. So there's a lot of people that need help. And so I'm glad you're joining our disciples to go out and make this world a better place. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being able to be invited over and speaking with you. I was just going to say really quickly.
Perfect.
I was given Think and Grow Rich by 3 very, very successful people.
Mm-hmm.
First was my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2 others. One was an insurance agent that just was incredible how fast he worked
Mm-hmm.
and how big he became, one of the biggest in the nation. He went off and bought a golf company. And I just asked him, what do you do that's, how did you get this? What's the motivation? He says, well, give me a second. He went back to his car, came back and handed me Think and Grow Rich. I said, oh my gosh, same thing as my dad.
And the third?
And the third was an individual who had, he did seminars.
Mm-hmm.
And he did 'em, and he grew this seminar company to an extremely large size. And I was attending one of his seminars. And I got to know him, and I just asked him the same thing: is what got you into the seminars, and what grew this? What was your motivation? How did you get out there? He said the same thing. He said, just go read one book for me. He didn't have it with him. He just said, go read this book and devour it. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Well, I'll tell you
oh
is that,
my
our
gosh.
stories are similar. I received the book at 18.
I remember that.
I was a dishwasher at Farrell's Ice
Farrell's
Cream
Ice
Parlor
Cream.
restaurant in Sacramento. Mr. Farrell came in, saw something in me I didn't see. And he told me that if I would read the book he gave me, Think and Grow Rich, 3 times. He visited the dealership every 2 months. He'd carve out an hour and become my mentor. And I did. It was 8 years later. I've been saying 10 forever, even in that book. It is a mistake. I was doing research for a 6th book that we've just finished, The Power to Think, The Power to Rise. 5 men, 5 arenas, 5 stories. And I did the research. I said, oh, my heavens, I've been wrong all this time. It was 8 years. But Mr. Farrell, on a graduation, he told me that when that would be, I'd have to pay him the price of his mentorship, and it was Wednesday nights, time tithing for anyone who walked in and wanted to know what I know and didn't have the money to pay for the rest of my life. And I've achieved thousands of people in fulfilling that obligation back to Napoleon Hill. So I welcome you to our disciple group. I look forward to seeing your growth, and I'll see you at the top.
Well, I appreciate it because your book, taking Think Grow Rich, and then I read your book. That's why I devoured it and wrote it and scribbled all in it and everything else. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed your book more than Think and Grow Rich.
Well, that is a heck of a compliment. Thank you so much. And so we'll end our podcast as always and ask everybody listen to live ready, my friends.
Live ready, reach higher, chase the sky. Beyond think and grow rich, you'll learn to fly. With every step forward, the future is bright. Live ready for the dreamers, ignite your light.